Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. Today I am going to be talking to you through something that really got to me when starting flying training, and it is the worry behind your initial Class 1 medical examination. Now, I'm going to be going through some things regarding the initial Class 1, where to have it done, average prices, what you're looking at, what actually happens and what the best advice I can give, which I have been provided this advice for your initial Class 1 medical from several airline pilots who fly at airlines such as Stobart Air, Flybe and British Airways City Flyer. Okay, so I apologise, this is what I look like. This is the I suppose the face to the voice behind on my YouTube channel, and it's been a bit of a while, and this is sort of something that I'm going to be starting to do, providing advice as I go through ATPL ground school and go through that sort of series. Every single time I sort of think, something could be made of a video out of that and help others, it's going to be a video that I create, and hopefully, fingers crossed, be able to help you in your path to become an airline pilot. I'm looking quite tired, as you can probably tell. Ground school is rather tiring. Not so much ground school at the minute, it's just exams and certain other things going on, but it is rather tiring. Anyway, straight into the video. So, first thing I'm going to talk about is I've got something called DAPP, D-A-P-P, which I think is 4 letters that sum up this initial Class 1 medical sort of video in a way. The first thing we're looking at is my don't forgets, and then we're going to look at the advice I can provide you, and then price and procedures, then price, or whatever way you want to sort of look at it around. So the first thing I'm going to say is talk about the don't forget items of an initial Class 1 medical. So the first thing that for me was the most important thing is when you book your Class 1 medical, you can do it at places. I did mine at London Heathrow, Terminal 5, the little Heathrow Medical Services, or you can go to Gatwick and have those done at Gatwick. Personally, Heathrow is better for me. It's just a little bit easier to get to with my current circumstances, and I also stayed in a hotel. We'll go on to advice and all that sort of information in just a little while. Don't forget. So the first thing is, when you book your Class 1 medical, don't forget, you're going to get a confirmation email, and please read it. You'll be surprised. When I had mine done, someone didn't bring the required documents. They got sent away after paying £560. They didn't get a refund, and you can probably imagine the sort of, imagine coming home and forgetting your passport. Maybe turning up to your initial Class 1 medical without a passport and being sent home after spending around about 500 or between 550 to 600 pounds. You would be absolutely devastated, and you're just putting money in the medical services department pocket / the CAA, I can kind of say, I suppose. So please don't forget, read your email. I would highly recommend taking, this is now going on to the sort of advice section, take with you to your Class 1 medical your doctor's notes. So for myself, I have had an appendicectomy, which, I think that's how you pronounce it properly, which is to have my appendix removed. I didn't take my doctor's notes, which didn't mean I could get issued my Class 1 medical straight, my Class 1 medical issued to me straight away. I had to come back to where I live and go to my local doctor's GP surgery and get them to fax across all my surgery notes and general patient summary, because the doctor at the medical services required or asked for that information. So that is one of the most important things that I think is the passport and your patient summary. It's all said in the email, so for me, didn't really read the email properly. I thought the patient summary notes and surgical notes were optional. Clearly not, they wanted them. Okay then, so what other advice? So obviously you can take your initial Class 1 medical and Class 1 medical renewals at Heathrow, Gatwick, and there probably is other places in the UK that do it, but the main 2 places, there's a surgery at London's Gatwick Airport and obviously a surgery at London Heathrow. I chose Heathrow. It's a little bit easier for me to get to the train into London, and then I got the Heathrow Express to Terminal 5. I made the short walk from Terminal 5 around to the medical services place. But for myself, I stayed in a hotel the night before. Reason being, I had a really early appointment at 9 AM, meaning that I didn't want to make the 5 o'clock in the morning journey from where I live to Heathrow, because I thought that if I turn up looking tired, my reactions might slow down. There's little things like that which really could affect it, and you're pushing such an investment in. This is the one thing that is a make or break in your pilot training, in my opinion. So go commercial anyway. Your initial Class 1 medical really is a make or break item. Okay then, so I stayed in the hotel, I stayed at the Premier Inn at Terminal 5. Highly recommend it, it's cheap, it's reliable, it's Premier Inn, it's sort of what you pay for is what you get, I suppose, along the basis of EasyJet and Ryanair are low cost airlines. You pay for what you get basically. I love Premier Inn, it's very simple, a majority of airports have got them, but that one at Heathrow is about a 5-minute walk from the medical centre as well. I use maps on my phone to get all the way around, just use postcodes that are provided via emails. More advice I'd give, okay, so regarding the Class 1 medical, they check, well, I'm not going to be completely honest with you, I don't 100% know what they check, but I would just recommend, it's better, just don't be silly really. Don't go eating at McDonald's the day before, don't go stuffing your face with caffeine and sugar. So all I did for the 48 hours before my medical, I just drank bottles of water and green tea, because when you arrive, and I will go through what happens when you arrive at the medical centre, what they do to you and stuff like that, but bottled water and green tea for me were a key aspect. I think it just flushes everything out your system really, in a way. Just be careful what you eat, don't eat too much of whatever you eat, as always. If you eat too much of a certain something, it's always going to become bad for you. So for me, I just had light pasta, a bit of fish, and I remember the morning before the medical, there is a McDonald's right next to the Premier Inn, and I literally just had a toasted bagel and a orange juice that morning. So don't go in too light, don't go in not eating anything. You do need to eat something before you go in there, but just be sensible. Obviously, majority of people that are watching this know what's healthy and know what's not, so obviously, you know, be incredibly sensible about that. But I've got to say, it was such, I love coffee personally, so the biggest part for me was giving up the coffee, and it is a bit of a struggle. But the nicest thing is, after your medical, and if you're successful or not, the best thing is when you go for a sort of like a coffee or something like that after. It really does feel like you're treating yourself. Excuse me. More advice I can provide is don't be nervous, because this is what I did. I was incredibly nervous going into my initial Class 1 medical, meaning that when I went in to have my medical done, when I had my ECG with the downstairs doctor, or with the doctor who focuses on that side of the aspects of the initial Class 1, my ECG took me to between 7 to 10 minutes for my heart rate to calm down to the pulse rate which the CAA have set. So don't be nervous, because I fell for that. And when you're sitting there after 5 minutes and the doctor's saying to you, you need to calm down or you're going to fail, it's going to make you more nervous. In my case, it made me more nervous. So just go in there, and it sounded silly. The doctor said to me, think of your last holiday, and then I tried to think of it, and it didn't work. The thing that worked for me to relax was simply just concentrate on a single part of my body, and it sounds so silly, I know, but I was laying there and I just looked, and I was just looking at my left foot, and I just had my head concentrated onto my left foot, and eventually I calmed down. It's so silly, it's the little thing that helped me. It probably wouldn't help me again, to be honest, but you know, it is literally just one of them things. So we're going to go on to the P in my DAP, D-A-P-P. If we have any more advice along the way, obviously I'm going to put it in the video. But my first P is procedures. So what happens when you get there? Because to be honest, it's the little things that make me nervous, such as, well, if I buzzed on the door and I got the wrong place. So Heathrow, I'll tell you about Heathrow's medical services. It's basically you walking in, and it's the first one on the right with a big white door. And to be honest, you get a picture in the email, so it's something that you really shouldn't be worried about. So I've turned up, I've knocked on, buzzed on the door, they've let you in, and the first thing they do, the first thing they did to me is they give you a patient, like a bit of paper saying that you confirm that all these results and everything I say is legally binding and correct, otherwise you could face further punishment such as an imprisonment. I know it sounds really a bit much saying imprisonment, but remember, you are doing signing illegal documents, and you are potentially for myself, in about 14 to 15 months time, flying passengers around Europe, touch wood in a way, that would be happening. But you can't lie about something in your medical, because it could become catastrophic in future time. Anyway, so you turn up. For me, it was the first one on the right. I buzzed in and I signed my patient summary. Then they ask you for a urine sample. Now, I've been told by many people that this is not a drugs test. Don't fall for it. Just don't be silly. Don't do drugs and fly. It's just daft. when you read on forums, you read on it all over the internet, oh, I went out and I got drunk and smoked some marijuana or weed, however people call it. You've got to think you're choosing drugs or aviation because you can't sort of do one. Christian, do both. It's one or the other. Just don't do it. But then they say the urine sample doesn't test for drugs. I think it's just sugars and just check things like that. But just don't be silly, because I believe in the Class 1 medical they will find it. Excuse me. So we do the urine sample, and what I quite liked about it is there's someone else, or there's always someone there with you in the waiting area. For me, there was always someone there. I had a guy who was at L3. He needed his initial Class 1 medical done to start at L3, and I had a Virgin Atlantic A330, 340 first officer getting his renewal next to me. So we all had a nice chat. It was just nice, and you all sort of felt a bit sort of friendly. You're all there supporting each other. So first guy goes upstairs. So it's either you're going to go upstairs to the eye, there's a word for it, and I can't actually remember it, to be honest. You're going to go upstairs to the eye department, or you're going to go, bear in mind this is for Heathrow, so you're either going to start with the eye department or the doctors, the general examination department. For me, I started with the general examination department. I went through, I sat down, had a little bit of a conversation about it, and to be honest, the doctor was very sort of blunt. You could sort of tell he does it every day. To be honest, he seemed probably a bit bored. I did ask him, do you enjoy your job? And he did say, I'm not like a GP where you see something different every single day. He said, I do the same thing every day, which is these initial Class 1 medicals and medical renewals, so it must be quite boring. So I sat down, he took my blood pressure first of all, he said that was fine. He did a few just basic questions and answers, follow the finger around the room sort of thing. It was just to check I don't know what he was checking, but there was more sort of following the finger around the room, and he sort of did little things like how many fingers, he was doing things like this, like, you can tell me how many fingers I held up there. So it'll be like, and he'll go obviously 2, and then he'll go 2, and he'll go like 2, and he'll just go really quicker, and he has to try and get it. And then you go into a soundproof booth. Now for me, a bit of advice here, don't go in the booth nervous, because obviously it's soundproof. You have these headphones on, you have to listen for beeps on the headset. So basically you start off with the left, either left or right, he will state what side starts, and then you hear a beep, you click like a clicker. I found that the left ear was very weak, but the left ear sounds are really weak, and the right ear sounds were perfect, but I don't know if that was just how it was set up. I passed that apparently with flying colours. But the real thing I realised is that if you go into this soundproof booth and you're going in nervous or your heart racing, what I figured out is that when you sit there, your heart is absolutely going crazy, and all you can hear is your heart, and you're losing focus on the beeping noise. So that is a big thing for me that I also struggled on. You come out the booth, and then he asks you to take all your clothes off apart from your underwear and socks. He will then examine your body, so you do like a 360 spin. He'll touch your spine, he'll just touch parts of your body and ask you to, he touched my groin area, and asked me to cough. That was fine. He couldn't question me about my appendix removal and just general health. And then you lay on the bed, he checks your reactions with like a reaction tester. And then he takes blood from your finger. This is something that a lot of people think he takes blood from your arm, and sort of as a normal blood test. He said to me at the start, any problem with injections? I'm not the greatest fan of needles, to be honest, this is a bit, but I just sort of, go with it. And he said, okay, I'm going to take some blood. So there's me in the room, rolling my sleeve up, and sort of expecting him to go into where the sort of bog standard blood test is taken. And he just grabs my finger and takes a prick on my finger. Now this is a bit weird. He sort of pricks your finger, and he has like this machine that measures certain things. Obviously I don't know what they are, to be honest with you. He measures it, and they take blood and they put it in three separate little separate little rings, and it tells you like a reading. And then they check your cholesterol as well through your blood, and everything like that is fine. Yet again, the cholesterol relates to what you're eating, your sugar level, your salt level. It just, don't be silly before you're medical. Just don't eat ridiculous amounts of food, and you will be fine. Another thing that I sort of realised is you then go on to do your ECG, and obviously I've said about the nerve, but as I come out of the surgical downstairs area to speak to someone in the waiting room about it, and I explained my ECG, I was really nervous, my heart was racing, I thought I was going to foul. And ECGs aren't as reliable as you think, but it's something that's obviously in the initial class 1. After that I was fine. I passed the ECG and that was fine. I'm just trying to think if there was anything else I did while in there. He took your blood pressure, in the soundproof booth. He just like, yeah, to be fair, it was done quite quickly. I remember I kept questioning him, how was I doing, and he was very sort of reluctant to give me an answer, which worried me a little bit. They also take your height and weight, which is just to work out your average body BMI. And then for me, back into the waiting area, I'd highly recommend when walking around this place, going from room to room, doing like activity to activity, bottle of water, take one round of you. They have like a refillable machine in reception, just refill it and just keep a bottle of water on you at all times. It's just nice to sort of freshen your mouth up, step away just for a couple of seconds and have a swig of water and just sort of try and calm down a little bit. So upstairs to the eye department. This was something I was a little bit worried about because I do have a drooped eyelid on my right eye due to a fracture and a incident in a sports game. But that happened. I was a little worried about my reduced sight, but it turns out I don't actually have a reduced sight at all. So you go in, the first thing he told me to do was to read some letters off of a screen. So you're sitting in a corner, like a basic eye test. If you had an eye test or had your eyes checked before, you're sitting in the corner of the room. He says read through these lines, and it gets to the point where it literally is borderline impossible to read, where you work out the rough outline of the letter and take a wild sort of guess. I did that for a few times. He asked you to do that. Then he gives you like a book sort of thing, and it has like hidden numbers in like patterns and stuff like that. There's a lot of them can be found on the internet to do. I highly recommend doing that because the 2 and the 7, a bit of advice for you, it looks very similar, but that's sort of very basic. He then asks you to put your head in like a visor thing to check your peripheral vision, I believe it's called, and you do your right eye first. They cover your left eye with an eye patch, and every time you see a white dot, you click the clicker and obviously swap, and it goes on for 4 minutes for each eye. It can get quite tedious, and to be honest, you can sort of focus on one point. You're thinking you're seeing things. Don't be careful as well. This applies for the eyes and the sound booth. Not double click, because it's easily done by double clicking, and enough double clicking is enough for you to foul. So after the peripheral vision test, he sat me back in the corner of the room, covering one of my eyes. He put like this set of glasses on me, covered my left eye, and he asked me to look at a green dot on a screen, and he asked you about these lines, red and parallel and horizontal lines. He asks you how I can see them. Is it cutting through this image diagonally and stuff like that? It's a bit weird, but they sort of have to make you do it. After testing each eye with that, he then made me read a statement from a book. You're covering each eye up, and then you have to put your head in like a visor, and there's a picture of a little house at the end. You have to keep your eye focused on the house, and a little puff of air will blow into your eye 3 times. Each eye is done. I think that's just to check that you blink and you've got like receptors in your eye are working perfectly fine. And another thing I did notice is just a lot of out of nowhere in the eye department, he sort of pull you aside and go, I'm just going to have a quick look in your eye. I'm just going to have a quick look in your eye. I'm just going to have a quick look in your eye. And there is one point where you sit down and he has this bright light in your eye, and they'll go for a proper thorough examination of each eye. But that's about it really. The final P of my DAP for your initial class 1 medical is the price. This is a horrific price for your initial class 1 medical. You have to go to a specific location to do it, so you're instantly paying for travel. In my case, I chose to go on, when I went to Heathrow, I chose the route option of changing and getting the tube to getting to Paddington via an Uber, and the Heathrow Express to Heathrow from Paddington. The reason on my outbound journey I chose to get an Uber and the Heathrow Express is because I knew they would test my hearing, and I didn't fancy going on the underground within 24 hours before I was having my hearing tested, because it is incredibly loud, the Piccadilly line, as for other undergrounds, and it's just a lot of sort of a very sort of loud environment, and I didn't want to put that strain on my ears. Return journey, Heathrow Express back to Paddington, underground down, and I come home with using a national network line. So instantly what you're thinking of for prices is the travel costs. For me, the reason I went the more expensive way there is because I didn't want anything to inflict me with potentially failing my initial Class 1 medical. I was a little bit worried, and I just wanted to pay a little bit extra to ensure that I might be okay. It might sound a bit daft, that's just personal preference. So, travel to get there and back, and hotel. If you've got an early start, find a little hotel nearby. Don't make that journey at a silly o'clock in the morning, or book a later appointment. That is something else you could do. And obviously the price of the medical varies between company and company. I know it's done at Gatwick, I know it's done in London somewhere, I know it's done at Heathrow, and potentially other places around the country. Between £550 to £600 you're looking at, depending on where you're going. So that is instantly a big chunk, but it is worth it, and it is something you need to go in to become a commercial airline pilot. Fly solo for a PPL, and it's just something where if you have a dream to become a pilot, getting it done really, really is important, because if you pass your entrance exams for a flying school and you fail your medical, the dream is over. But it's a positive that they have found an issue. So my final words for this video is don't panic. Your initial Class 1 medical is not as big as everyone bigs it up to be. Just don't be silly. Don't go eating a KFC variety bucket the day before your medical, because you know it's going to affect your salt, your sugar, your fat. Just don't be silly. I'd highly recommend green tea or a flavoured tea of some sort. That is something that I really think helped me, because I do eat a lot of fast food or rushed food. But that's about it really. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope it has been helpful. If you like these sort of videos, when I go through ground school and when I'm flying, and I find an issue or find something to talk about, I am going to hopefully make a video on it now. It just makes a little bit more sense, because when I was going through it, I googled for a little bit of help, and I didn't sort of get that sort of much help online. So it's time for me to hopefully help someone else out. The point of these videos is just to try and help. I hope you found this video informative. I'm actually off to go fly now, but that's about it. Ground school is going really, really well. Flying is going really, really well. Thoroughly enjoying it. And guys, please don't worry about your initial Class 1 medical. I wish you all the best of luck. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, because I may have missed something out in this video. But like I say, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much, and goodbye.